So today's case that we're going to talk about is about what I and people that went to this party would describe as the worst fucking party that they've ever been to. I'm not kidding. If you look up this case, which you can look it up after, no spoilers, you walk through this with us. There is literally a Vice article from a party goer that went to this party. The headline is just, I went to the worst party ever. We are going to dive into the case of the Hadleys, which includes Mary and Blake Hadley, and then their son, Tyler Hadley. Mary, Blake, and their son, Tyler, all lived together in Florida. Tyler had an older brother, but he was a little bit older. I think at the time, Tyler was 17 when this happened, and his brother was 23. His brother's considerably older, not really in the picture. Tyler's living at home. But Tyler is kind of an odd kid. The only kind of descriptors we have in the past of his history, when he was born incredibly premature, and he had some developmental issues. He was born at 3 pounds and 10 ounces. That's like fucking that, like that's like literally nothing. So he was already born with a couple of developmental issues. And then as time went on, Tyler dealt with some weight issues, and that really got to him. It just really fucked with his head. He developed an eating disorder at a very young age because he was so obsessed with wanting to be skinny. But in terms of Tyler's life, Tyler was kind of a weird guy because all the way up until high school, he didn't really have a lot of friends. He was kind of just that guy that was always just like lighting shit on fire, doing a bunch of drugs, kind of like burning out, and people knew what he was about, weren't really interested, and just kind of left him alone. But on top of that, Tyler was actually incredibly suicidal, and he wasn't afraid to share this with people that were his friends that he wasn't even that close to. So here are these are text messages, which actually they were like text form, but our lovely, wonderful producers have come through with the production value. Tyler would literally talk to his friends and just dump on them that he was really suicidal. So here's a conversation with one of his friends where his friend says, "What are you doing?" Tyler says, "Nothing, considering suicide." And his friend is like 16 years old, just says, "Why?" And Tyler says, "Because I want to die, I guess." "Are you being serious?" "Yes, I do want to die sometimes." And then this guy, he's just 16, and he says, "Don't die, smoke a bowl whenever you're down." And he said, "I used to. Now I drink a lot when I'm depressed. It fills the emptiness inside of me." And this guy just says, "You're quite a character." And then he says, "Yes, but all my smiles are fake." These are actual messages between Tyler and a friend of his. So generally, people would say that like Tyler was kind of a weird guy. You know, they might keep him away. Like this is not how you bond with people in your high school. We're able to actually go through Tyler's text messages and kind of get a little bit more of a picture of what's going on. So in this text, he's texting that same friend, and he hits him up and he says, "Don't text me about drugs." And his friend's like, "What happened?" And then he says, my mom has it because I got arrested on Monday. Actually, I think this was a text with a girl. Said, "She's flipping shit. I just got out today." And she says, "Oh shit." He says, "Shit sucked." Just says, "You bad, kid." She's like, "Just kidding. It's a private slice for me." People aren't even always like talking to Tyler. He's just kind of like firing stuff off here. But the other thing that's really interesting is a little bit before this happened, Tyler was actually arrested for arson in a wildlife preserve. That's just what this guy was doing. Stealing shit, doing drugs, and getting arrested. So of course his parents are going to take his phone. By all accounts, the Hadleys were a pretty normal family. They said that the only rule that they had for their kids was don't do drugs, go to church every Sunday. They took them to church every Sunday. They had family dinners. They were those people in Tyler's life. But he gets arrested. He gets his phone taken away, and he's pretty upset about it. And then it kind of starts escalating because then he's talking to this girl named Mercedes, talking about his mom, and he says, "Yup, she's a C-word for sure. I might kill her." Once again, the kids that don't know how to respond to anything like this, she says, "Oh my God, no jail, or I mean prison, LOL." And he just says, "Oh well." These people don't even know how to talk to Tyler when he's saying all this stuff. And Tyler just wants friends. So much so that Tyler has an idea. If he can just have this big party that everyone goes to and everyone likes and everyone comes out and they're drinking and they're having fun, then everyone is gonna like Tyler. He gets to do drugs and he gets to have this big party and everyone's gonna come over. And so that's exactly how the idea starts. Tyler decides that he wants to have a party. And he starts telling people that. And people know how Tyler's parents are. They make him go to church all the time. The Hadleys are really nice people. They took his phone. They know that his parents are never gonna have a party. And what do kids ask when another kid in high school says that they're gonna have a party? The first thing people ask is, where are your parents going? And that's what everyone asks. Tyler, where are your parents going? Where are your parents going? Where are your parents going? Tyler gives a bunch of vague answers, but to one of his friends, he actually tells him that he's going to kill his parents and then have a party. I'm pretty sure that he told his friend this verbally, but it's actually confirmed in this text where his friend Matt texts him and says, "Did you do it?" And he said, "No, but I'm gonna." And Matt said, "Bet? You really should now." Matt over here on his Michelle Carter shit. And then Tyler says, "Don't worry, I am." Then, oh my God, oh no, I showed the one who's supposed to be censored. Sorry, guys. And then he says, "I'm gonna have a party." I think the other thing that's so fucking alarming to me, that's so incredibly alarming, is the way all of these people respond. These are 3 different people that he's texting. One friend doesn't know how to respond to his suicidal ideologies. The other friend doesn't know how to respond to him saying he's gonna kill his mom. And then the next person actually says like, "Yeah, you should do it." And remember, he's not saying, "Yeah, you should have this party." He's like, yeah, you should kill your parents and then have the party. I'm like, did you think this was a fucking joke? I'm sorry. I'm ratting you out. Am I ratting you out? Hold on, I'm thinking about this in high school terms. Am I gonna be a loser? No, I don't give a f. Ratting you out. I am that rat. That's me. I'm the rat. Tyler starts telling people that he's gonna have this party. Starts messaging his friends on Facebook. "What's up, bruh? Chillin', what you doing tonight?" Tyler says, "Trying to have a party at my crib." His friend says, "Your parents ain't home?" And Tyler said, "Nope. Well, they're leaving soon." And this message was sent around 3 or 4 o'clock. Before the murders. So Tyler posted on Facebook, "Party at my house, hit me up." And this is on Saturday at 8:15 p.m. But I'm about to tell you guys what happened between the other message and this Facebook post. Tyler sat in his room for a couple hours basically stewing. He had been texting people, he had been posting on Facebook, he'd been messaging friends and saying that he was going to have this party. And he had been talking about this for a week to 2 weeks. And I think at this point, Tyler even felt that he had this pressure to deliver on this big party that he had dreamed about and he had fantasized about. After posting his Facebook stuff and thinking about it for a while, the party is supposed to happen anywhere after 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock. And as time goes on, Tyler realizes that he has to do it. He's stalling. Something's holding him back. So in order to amp himself up, Tyler takes an ecstasy pill. And then, after that, he takes another ecstasy pill. And then he's like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and take another ecstasy pill. So Tyler took 3 ecstasy pills. And I'm not sure if this was always the weapon that he had in mind, but he decided to get a hammer. And then, I hope I don't get DMCA'd for this, but I just need to show you guys how fucking gross this is. He took 3 ecstasy pills, he grabbed a hammer, and then he played a song that was called "Feel Lucky" by Lil Boze. This song. This is the song that was playing when Tyler grabbed a hammer, walked into his mother's office, who was working on her computer. Tyler's mom was working on her computer, facing this way, just the way that I am right now. And her son walked right up behind her and he stood there for a couple minutes. His mom was working. I don't even know if she knew he was there, but he stood there for a couple of minutes. He said himself, hammer in hand, while Lil Boze is playing. And then he struck his mother in the back of the head with a hammer while she sat there working on his computer. And he struck her again. and he struck her again. And the first thing that happened was Tyler's dad heard the mother's screams, and so he runs downstairs to help. And the first thing that Blake Hadley yelled when he saw his son attacking his wife was, "Why?" He didn't yell, "Stop." He didn't yell, "F you, Tyler." He didn't yell any of that. They loved their son so much that while they died and they were being bludgeoned to death with a hammer, they repeatedly yelled, "Why? Why are you doing this, Tyler? Why? So he strikes his mother, turns around, hits his dad, basically sedates him until he beats both of them in the head with a hammer while listening to fucking Lil Boze or ICP or whatever crazy shit is, and he's on ecstasy. So this is around 5 o'clock, and Tyler realizes that this is a lot messier than he had anticipated. So this is downstairs, and he tries to clean up the bodies best he can, and he drags the bodies into the master bedroom. And this is taking much, much longer than he thought, because I think I read somewhere that his dad was like heavy 200 pounds or about 300 pounds. And somehow he got those bodies into that room. But Tyler started to get very lazy with the cleanup. He didn't really clean the computer that well. And you guys saw from the blood spatter stream, blood goes everywhere. Cast off from a hammer. If you're taking an object like a hammer, especially when it's got that wing in the back, when you strike something the first time and you draw back, nothing's going to happen. But when you strike again and that hammer, that point of contact, hits a pool of blood, it now has a source of blood, and you draw back again, that spatter hits the ceiling. And Tyler made tens, if not 100 beatings of that hammer with his parents. There was blood everywhere. There was blood on the ceilings, there was blood on the walls, and there was blood in places that Tyler could never get. So Tyler begins to get lazy, and he takes all of the dining chairs, he takes the carpet, he takes the things from the computer, all this stuff, and he throws it into the room where his parents' dead bodies are, and he throws everything on top of it. And then Tyler gets back on his computer and posts this Facebook status at 8:15 p.m. and says, "Party at my house, hit me up." Tyler had posted all this stuff, inviting all these kids from high school, all these people he didn't know, and now everyone is coming to this party, because what do? You just say, "Yo, what's the address? What's the address?" Everyone's dishing out this address, and suddenly this house is full of 100 kids that Tyler doesn't even know. And this was supposed to be his dream, to throw a super mega party that would finally make him popular and important. But instead, Tyler is still rolling on ecstasy. He's taken even more since then. People said that his eyes were completely dilated. He wasn't talking. He was walking around the party just hunched over. He looked incredibly paranoid. He looked incredibly anxious, and everyone noticed. Another thing that everyone noticed was all of the strange pools of sticky brown substance that were around the house. At one point, when the kids were playing beer pong, this is real. At one point, when the kids were playing beer pong, somebody had thrown the ball and it rolled off the table, and it stopped rolling because it landed in a pool of sticky brown stuff on the carpet. They picked up the ball, they threw it back in. Some of the other kids that later on found out what happened at the party talked about how Tyler had an open playlist, and anyone could walk up to the computer and add a song to add to the playlist. And people were adding things to that playlist all night while that computer was covered in his mother's blood. And nobody noticed. Or maybe people just didn't want to notice. But Tyler, as we know from these earlier text messages, Tyler doesn't know how to shut the up. He doesn't. He's got all these feelings that are like pouring out of him, and nobody to talk to or nobody to care about or something. That's what his other pattern was. So naturally, when he does something as horrific as this, and he's on fucking ecstasy, the most emotional drug ever, he's just gonna start telling people. So while Tyler is at this party, he's telling people that this is gonna be his last party, and he just wanted to have fun before he goes out. This is a conversation that Mark, his friend that sent those texts saying, "You gonna do it, man? You gonna do it?" This is a conversation that Mark recounted at the party. Tyler said, dude, I did some things. I might go to prison. I might go away for life. I don't know, dude. I'm like freaking out right now. What are you talking about? Said Mark. Tyler said, dude, I know you're not going to believe me. No one will believe me. But I freaking killed somebody. And Mark said, yo, if you kill somebody, that's your own business. Don't be telling me that sort of thing. I don't need to know. And Mark walked off. Tyler then returned to the house and ran into a guy named Ricardo. And Tyler doesn't know Ricardo. And Ricardo, just trying to be courteous, walks up to Tyler and says, thanks for having us over. And thanks for the beer. And Tyler says, yeah, I just wanted to do something fun before I left. And Ricardo goes, where are you going? And Tyler said, I'm going to kill myself. And Ricardo goes, why would you do that? Tyler said, because I did something really bad. Ricardo said, what'd you do? Can't be that bad. And Tyler said, don't worry. If I get caught, I'll be in jail for a long time. Then he just walks in and finds this girl named Kimberly, who apparently went by the name K Nasty. She was friends with Tyler, lived down the street. He walks up to Kimberly during the party and says, I'm going away for 60 years. And she said, why? And he said, you'll find out tomorrow. So the party ends around 2:30 in the morning. And something else that was just really interesting about this too was his friend that actually saw the bodies. Because I don't have any interviews with him, but Tyler had told him that his parents were there and he didn't believe him. And so Tyler said, yeah, I'll show you. And so he takes him upstairs to go look at the bodies. And what the friend does is he knows that he's going to jail. So he ends up taking a selfie with him at the party the night that it all happened. So this is literally, dude, now that I just told all of that, this is so scary. So this is the guy over here that knew what happened, saw the bodies, knew Tyler was going away, and he said, oh, let me get a selfie right quick. This is it. This is the picture. But on top of that, so what ends up happening is this friend is like, I'm not going away for Right after the man leaves the party, the police show up because of a noise complaint. But then they end up leaving. But then the police come back at 4:30 because homeboy right here called Crime Stoppers. That's right. He picked up the phone and reported this motherfucker. He said, not me, not today. So the police come back at 4:30 in the morning. They get there and they know what is up. They've had multiple reports at this time. And we actually have news report. This is the guy that reported him.
A gruesome crime scene in his parents' bedroom. Tyler Hadley and Michael Mandel took this picture Saturday night. It was the last picture Mandel thought he'd ever take with his best friend. Mandel says Hadley had just made an unbelievable confession that he'd killed his parents.
After he told me, I didn't believe him because he's been my best friend forever. I would never suspect anything like this. And I was looking around. He told me if I look at enough, I can see signs. I looked on the floor, I could see
Isn't
signs.
that crazy? So this is what me up. So Tyler said to him, like, his friend's like, no, I don't believe you. But Tyler like looks at him all fucking ecstasied up, drunk up, like whatever. And he's like, if you look around, you can see signs. Because Tyler had been walking around all night seeing the blood because he knew exactly what happened. So anytime he saw a little speck of his shitty cleanup, he was reminded of what he had just done. Whereas everyone else didn't really see these things. They just kind of like ignored them. It's just so creepy to me that he told Michael, like, if you look around, you can see the signs. Because he had been looking at the signs all night.
Blood. And that's when I went around back and looked in his parents' bedroom.
Hadley went before a judge this morning, facing 2 counts of second-degree murder. Chief Assistant State Attorney Tom Bakadal says he will seek even tougher charges for the deaths of Blake and Mary Jo Hadley.
We, in fact, plan and fully anticipate at this point in time, we will take the case to the grand jury and we will seek an indictment for first-degree murder.
Tyler Hadley is a few months shy of his 18th birthday, so he is not eligible for the death penalty.
This is in Florida.
He does face life in prison if convicted for murdering his parents. It's something Michael Mandel still can't comprehend, even after seeing it with his own eyes.
I saw bloody sheets piled everywhere. I saw broken pictures with blood on them, and I looked down and I saw his dad's leg.
Mandel says the two have been friends for years, though Hadley started getting into trouble around the age of 15. He says Hadley complained of arguing with his parents and claimed that rap music and his parents' financial troubles influenced his actions. And Mandel says Hadley took ecstasy on the day of the killings. Mandel wanted one last picture with his longtime friend.
After I found his parents, I knew it was going to be the last time I seen him. This is that look on his face. You could see the horror in his face. That's not normal Tyler.
Tyler Hadley now has a public defender.
Dude, okay. And then also, here's a 911 call from another person at the party that heard Tyler killed his parents and was like, let me go and call it him real quick.
Kind of is just, someone had a party tonight and someone reported that this kid had killed their parents.
He told me that the kid Tyler.
Multiple 911 calls.
This kid had killed their parents.
He told me that the kid Tyler up, and he was like, he told me that, like, the gist of it, that he did something to his parents, and I was like, bro, I don't want to know any details. He said he already called and reported everything to Crime Stoppers. I was just calling because I felt like I needed to.
Now, you'll recall that 17-year-old...
Dude, oh my God. You know, that's another thing too. If I was drunk and you killed somebody, I'll rat you out even faster. I'll do it so fast. So fast. After that, obviously, so what ends up happening are the police, they show up at 4:30 in the morning. They know what the is up. They've had multiple reports. I don't even think they're questioned at this point. So they get there and Tyler tries to say that they can't come in. They assert themselves in and Tyler ends up walking outside. He's still completely up and he's yelling, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there. Well, obviously the police are going to go there anyways. And looking around the house, it only took them a few minutes to go upstairs and find the bodies of Blake and Mary. They end up interrogating him, but at his sentencing, I thought this video was a little bit interesting. He apologizes? I haven't seen this yet.
You can apologize or make amends for...
Wait, this audio on this is so low. Okay, we'll try.
Acts I've done, I committed. And not a single day goes by that I don't think about my parents or my whole family.
For the very first time, we heard from Tyler Hadley, who apologized for killing his parents with a hammer. And now we wait for the...
That sounds like an apology his attorney just wrote for him and told him to read it off and look at the judge.
Decision whether Tyler will be granted parole. News Channel 5's John Shaman is live outside the St. Lucie County Courthouse with a wrap-up of this dramatic
Wait, was that
day.
the end of his
John?
apology? Hold on. How long did they party in the house with the dead bodies? Tyler posted the status at 8:20 p.m. I think it said people started arriving by 11 and everyone was out of the party by 2:30. So people were there for about 3 hours. He literally killed his parents for a 3-hour party that just trashed his house, and that was it. Like,
for 8 days, we hear from Tyler.
That's it. That was the motive.
86 seconds.
I'd like to direct this to my entire family. All of them. Everyone. All of them.
Hadley told the court he can't apologize or make amends for the horrible acts he committed.
Not a single day goes by that I don't think about my parents or my whole family that I've affected by this.
Hadley said he realizes he took away a son, father, a mother, a sister, a brother, and 2 friends.
I know I don't expect forgiveness, and I know that...
Yeah, people said that the house smelled like sweaty. Somebody said, oh, the house smells like dead bodies, but I think the more accurate reports are people saying that it smelled like musty and sweaty in the house. You can smell blood.
She said Tyler Hadley's crimes were not those of an adult.
In fact, it is the state's evidence that shows this was the result of a severely mentally ill child.
Dude, oh my God, that's but yeah, so basically that is the end of the Tyler Hadley case. Obviously he was given life sentences for his crimes. He was charged for second degree because it's kind of hard. It looks like a really disorganized crime. It's kind of hard, I think, to put this as first degree. There was no, I mean, yes, there was planning, him talking about it through the text messages, but they didn't have a lot of like, and then I think I read a report afterwards that said that Tyler Hadley had made a comment after his sentencing that said, I'll get out. Don't worry. I'll get out. Tyler, you are not, nobody is releasing this man to the public. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. I just don't see it happening. Let's see. So December 2018, he was resentenced to life in prison, but this time with a possibility of parole. But in 2015, the Hadley house was demolished. I think that's so interesting.